Hey, hello, it's me again, and I'm very, very happy actually to have Frederick Stanley here right now and Mike Thake from AVASK. AVASK, that I really need to still read from the paper, but I love the slogan of it, is your global e-commerce accountants and cross-border tax experts. And again, I'm very, very happy to have Mike here as the head of partnerships and Frederick as customs and international trade consultant. So gentlemen, thank you for having me. Thank you for being here with me, and I hope you return very well after the 70th Jubilee of the Queen back at work. How are you doing, guys?
Thank you so much for having us. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. And yes, we've just got back from the Queen's 70th Jubilee. It's been a wonderful extended bank holiday here in the UK, but no, we're all ready to start back at work again.
I believe so.
Definitely playing a bit of catch up to begin with, but yeah, it was good to have an extended a weekend to ourselves. Really, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, great. Thanks again for taking the time and being here. Now, you're global e-commerce accountants and cross-border tax experts. It's a nice short slogan, but give me a short explanation for this as well. Where can you come in? How can AVASK help? And specifically also with the, not only the UK or US sellers, but also German and European sellers. Where can AVASK come in and help Amazon sellers, e-commerce sellers?
Okay, so well, as you've alluded, we are a specific e-commerce accountancy firm, which basically means that our experts have basically got their ears to the ground within the ecosystem. So if something's about to change in Europe, or if there are any forms of updates going on, 9 times out of 10 we hear about it before anybody else does. And that is one of the key advantages of using an e-com accountant, and that is one of the reasons why we are such a success within the industry. It's because we literally have developed a whole range of personal centered services that are surrounding the client and getting information out to them in a timely manner about their taxes and their obviously accounting needs. So from our perspective, we look for an e-commerce seller of any size. Generally speaking, these e-commerce sellers will be normally either starting in their first marketplace, so starting up in Germany, for example, and they'll be looking to start doing things like company formation, accounting, taxes, and we can then provide the advice and support that they need, as well as the services in the background, to enable them to get the best possible start. Equally, when we're starting to look to expand across borders, we'll then also be able to assist with things regarding VAT registration, filing and compliance, customs and trade services, and all sorts of different sorts of services that will assist the seller who is looking to basically make a success out of expansion into Europe and then further into the rest of the world.
Is it specifically for one country or for which one? Or for which countries, actually? Where do you feel most home besides in the UK?
Okay, so our head office, our global headquarters are based in Southampton in the UK. We've got around 200 staff members here. So it's a nice big team, and we are able to support e-commerce sellers of any size in around 23 of the world's most popular languages. So it's not just English speaking or French speaking or German speaking. We speak 23 of the world's most popular languages, including Mandarin, Chinese, Cantonese, and a few other languages in, I think, on the Indian subcontinent, like Urdu.
You have 200 staff in the headquarters.
Absolutely, yes. So we've got 2 floors based in Southampton, the first and 4th floor, and so most of our staff members are based in Southampton. However, we've also got satellite offices in London, which is again very useful. We've got additional VAT compliance team managers up in London. We've also got a CPA and an office over in New York. So the CPA is very, very important to have if you're dealing with US services. So not only can we help with European VAT registration and European services, we can also assist with US services using a registered CPA with the government. So it means that we can file all the taxes on your behalf, and we can basically work closely with the authorities in the US.
So that mostly, of course, makes sense for, yes, European sellers, German sellers, anybody who's active in one of the 5 marketplaces and wants to extend either with or without pan EU, as well as going over to the US and starting your entity there, and doing all tax declaration and border compliance, product compliance as well?
So we, from a customer's perspective, it's more about clearances of items and making sure that all the product requirements would be met. So we'd look at certain certificate requirements, all of that,
Yes.
but not specifically the product compliance in itself. So not languages, translation services, or anything like that. We've got partners that would help with that, but it's not dealt through
But anything where it
ourselves.
comes to cross-border, that's what I meant with the documentation, with the certificates, whatever needed.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so we've got a dedicated team just for customs, and you'd have an import and export manager who would essentially know the ins and outs of all of your products, and then state, okay, based on the HS codes or the commodity codes that you've provided, this is essentially what you'd expect at customs, and then make sure that you have the certificates, and we'd be able to action even brokerage for you or indirect representation.
Yeah. I was very surprised right now when you said 200 people and 200 people busy with accounting as well as with cross-border taxes. That's a lot of stuff that, AVASK, I do believe, is one of the world leaders in this topic.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, and it's not just VAT and the taxes. We're also doing new things like, for example, our green transition services.
Yeah.
So when you're looking about cross borders, you're also now looking in Europe, specifically Germany as well, from the 1st of July. You're going to need to start being registered for something called EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility.
Yeah.
Now, AVASK has been working quite closely with Amazon for many years now, and one of the things that we do is we adapt to what our customers need, and that's one of the key successes of AVASK, is that we sense an opportunity based on the fact that there is new legislation coming in that we don't traditionally support. So we're going to build a service around that so we can assist our sellers in the first instance, and then move that and commercialize that service onwards so we can assist even more sellers. And right now our teams are receiving record numbers of registration requests for EPR, which is coming into effect from the 1st of July. So
mainly for which
very
countries?
excited.
I assume it's Germany, it's Austria, it's France.
It's Germany and France at the moment, and the French have got 7 categories, which are everything from batteries, textiles, I think it's even electrical and electronic equipment, packaging. So it basically means that if you're, say, for example, bringing a jumper into France, one of those flashing Christmas jumpers, you know, the novelty jumpers with the flashing lights on it, you're now going to need to be registered for 4 EPR categories to bring that product across borders. You're going to need textiles because it's made of material. You're going to need electrical equipment because it's got circuitry in it, batteries because it's got a battery to make it flash, and packaging because you're going to put it in the bag to keep it nice and clean in transit, and because your fulfillment option is also going to put it in a box or something. So you're going to need to have registration for all 4 of those categories in France. I think it's just one category that's entering into Germany now, and that's just packaging. So
that's right.
But they've
electronics
got
you have as well, for sure.
That'll be beginning of next year, where they've got electrical and batteries probably as well being implemented there. But it's something we actively support.
Yeah, you mainly, of course, then very much focusing on what is Amazon requiring at the moment. That's why I said, I mean, of course, you should and you need to be in those other countries like Austria as well, but Amazon doesn't require it yet. Amazon, on the other hand, is not your only your customer market. I mean, for you guys, I think e-commerce sellers, of course, are also quite a large part, or not only e-commerce, I guess normal retailers as well.
We tend to I tend to say that the majority of our clients are e-commerce based. So if they're not selling on Amazon, they'll be selling on other platforms. They'll be so we have a handful of clients. The majority of our business does come. They are Amazon sellers. However, we do have a handful of businesses on alternative marketplaces, and we can support any business to diversify their business if that is what they need to do. So we can assist with a a multi-marketplace strategy if required. Ideally, what we're looking to do is grow and expand businesses and be able to support them throughout the stages of their business growth, right up to the point where they're ready to either make an exit or merge, acquire, and we can then again assist with the due diligence in that as well. So it really is a whole sweeping set of services that we can offer from right across the ecosystem.
Can you dig in there a little bit? Like you say, you have a whole set of services. What makes like chronologically sense? Which service comes when? What kind of services do you have in there?
Okay, so well, we can start along with things like, we'll go from the beginning, company formation. So we'll help you to set up a business. We'll help you to choose the best tax structure that will fit that business so that it will be future proof. And that'll then help you to save money in the long run. We'll then help you with the VAT registration, the filing, the compliance. If you're selling across border in the Europe and you're not doing marketplace sales, we can assist you with OSS and IOSS, which is the new obviously it's the new one-stop shop regulations that came in. We can also assist with product compliance with regards to EPR, chemical tax in Sweden. That's again another one. Also
chemical tax in Sweden.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Chemical tax in Sweden, if you're selling certain goods within Sweden, you need to be registered for chemical tax to be able to sell those goods. Again, it was a precursor. I think it was somewhere along the lines when Sweden brought in their first EPR regulation that came under chemical tax.
Wow.
And we can also help with the UK's plastics packaging tax that came in on the 1st of April, sorry, 1st of April of this year.
Nice.
So
okay.
from that, we can then help you to transition your goods across border with the services that Freddie has just mentioned. That is the direct and indirect representation, the customs brokerage services. And we can also help you with things like, for example, securing your product, and we can offer advice and support on making sure your product is compliant with regards to marketplace advisory services, consultancy, and we can also do a whole range of consultancy services with our clients, which will help them to analyze what their products are doing, how they're doing it, and what their next steps should be. So we provide that support alongside all of our other services. And also we'll also assist with things like accounting and bookkeeping. So if you're looking to just put everything under one roof, we really can support your business from an accounting and tax perspective right across the spectrum. And as you're looking to grow and expand across borders, we can then help you to analyze and adapt your strategy and make new decisions based on the trends and the forecasts that are coming off your accounts. And we can then look to assist you further right up to the point where you're looking to diversify into new marketplaces across the world. For example, we can assist with registration in Australia. We can help in the Emirates. We can help across North America. And additionally, we've got 2 offices based in China, so we can assist those Chinese sellers that are looking to migrate across into Europe. We can help them to find the correct services, and we can support those sellers fully from China, from a Chinese perspective.
Which country would you not service? It sounds like all of them.
Excellent question.
There are a few that we, as I said, there are a few that we're currently working on. We are basically servicing the majority of the marketplaces where there are very large markets, e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, and things like that. So if there is a large presence and a large population of sellers in one specific area, we'll look to support those sellers, and we can provide additional services, or we can help them with a partner who we've got in place, and they'll be able to strategically help them on behalf of AVASK.
Okay. Why are sellers choosing AVASK over others?
I actually think there's a couple of reasons, but I think the primary reason is because with AVASK services, we're always very competitively priced, and while we have got an automated solution in place to help and assist every single account, we don't use those services exclusively to the detriment of the client. For example, we're not an automated solution. We actually have got real people looking after real clients, providing advice and support, and not just automatically submitting things, but actually generally looking at things as they're going on, spotting a problem or something that hasn't been flagged by a computer, and has said, hang on, there's a problem here, we can't file this return yet, let's get more information from the client. And it's that intelligence that comes behind all of the automation that actually helps our sellers to be more happy, more productive, and more prosperous in the markets where they're operating.
Yeah,
I think all too often we hear about people who are wanting to swap over to our services, that they base most of their, or that they came from a place where it was all automated, and even when they had questions for tax advisors or anything, you'd then find out that these service providers wouldn't employ, you know, qualified tax advisors, so they wouldn't be allowed to give certain advice on things or procedures, and that's usually when we would come in, we'd go the extra mile, and we offer a full service to those people. So if there's something that they might find a little bit unclear, we'd go out of our way to communicate with the relevant tax authorities, to translate texts, to then issue statements, and also communicate with the client to ensure that compliance was met.
I think one of the key things to also to point out here is we also speak the languages of the tax offices as well, which is, again, can be half the problem. It's not necessarily just the client that's got the tax offices use their own sort of language within the languages.
Right.
So I think that also helps as well, is the fact that we've got relationships with most of the tax authorities, and we've got relationships in most of the countries where the sellers are trading. So we can assist in a better capacity due to those reasons.
I mean, to be honest, to me, I think this would be a no-brainer, especially when it comes to setting up legal entities and or having to file taxes in another country. Do not do this on your own. I mean, it's difficult enough to do this in Germany. Also, that you, of course, may want to outsource, but give it to whatever, the experts who are out there in those countries set up. Freddie, maybe as one short roundup, I know you guys are also about to jump into the next call, but what do you see usually as the early mistakes that can be avoided? Where do you usually surprise sellers to say, oh, maybe you should have done this differently right from the beginning?
Normally,
sorry, Mike,
Freddie.
carry on if you wanted to. I think from a customs perspective, if they're looking to export or import into another country, it's most of the time they're not fully aware of the regulatory or the legislations that have been put out. So they're not fully aware of all the requirements that they're met. They're just sending out test packages, for instance. And that often results in inventory being returned, which being the best case scenario, or being destroyed or held at customs for an extended period of time. That is a loss of money. You as a seller, ideally, you'd want to focus on what you're best at, and that is active selling. You want to leave that burden of trying to find out whether or not your parcels are going to get through customs, or your pallets, containers, or whatever it may be. You want to leave that to someone else to figure out, and then for them to action it, so that you can really just focus on maximizing your profits and making sure that you can use your time elsewhere. Because in the end of the day, as a seller, it's something what you essentially want to invest as little time as possible to try and figure out new rules or anything like that. You want someone else to do the research and to apply the necessary steps in order for you to successfully transport goods. And that's usually where I kick in, being sort of part of the onboarding team for the customs side of things and EPR and whatnot. I usually just come in and lay ground rules of things that a client can expect, and then we discuss about specifics depending on what their requirements are.
I think one of the most common entrance points would probably be when people start making that switch to pan-EU. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That is when they should consider getting in contact with AVASK, either with you, Freddie, or with Mike.
I was going to say, from my perspective, what Freddie was saying is absolutely true. And I'd say, actually, it goes one step beyond that as well. I'd say if you're looking to launch into a new marketplace, you should be consulting an expert first, because there could be anything in the local environment that could trip you up. Like, for example, not just necessarily import declarations, but it could also be something as, are you storing goods in that country? If so, you've immediately triggered a VAT liability. You must be registered, otherwise you're going to get shut down.
I think anybody should know that by now. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a very good point to say, deploy the right expert at the right time to assist you, because you're the expert at selling your product, your service. Leave the tax to us, because we're the experts in that field. We can assist you, and we can potentially help you to stop making a mistake before it's happened.
I think that was a good call to action for the end and as a roundup. Fantastic. Thank you guys very, very much for being on here, answering a few questions. If somebody caught interest, how do they contact you?
Absolutely. Well, you can either go to do one of two things, go to avasgroup.com, or they can email either Freddie or I directly. And our name is frederick.stanley@avasgroup.com or mike.thake@avasgroup.com. Alternatively, you can just email us at inquiries@avasgroup.com, and a member of the team will be able to pick your inquiry straight up.
That is maybe also leaves you some spare time and spare days or a weekend. Inquiry@avask.com. Was that correct?
Inquiries@avasgroup.com. That's right.
Inquiries@avasgroup.com. Yeah. Fantastic. Then thanks a lot for being on here. I wish you, of course, a lot of sellers, a lot of ring ups coming to you. And besides that, thanks a lot. I'll send this message out now, and I hope it will reach a few sellers also in Europe.
Thank you so much for having us today, Sebastian. It's really a pleasure speaking to you this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Take care. We'll see each other soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.